What is happening, y'all? Cowboy here, and welcome on back to another Shadow of the Erdtree showcase. This time around, we're taking a look at my top 5 sorcery choices. Now, sorcery is eating good like everything else in the expansion. Obvious spoilers. Let's jump in and take a look at some spells. Now, some of these are big booms, some of them are more mild booms, but all of these are spells that stood out as very, very strong choices when I played with them. My character that I played through the DLC was like 350 something, so I was like, oh, new spell, I'm going to be a sorcerer. Oh, new incantation, I'm going to be a faith guy. But this is one of the first ones I found, and it's one that stuck with me in prayer and thought for a long time. And that is Rings of Spectral Light. This is a Ghost Flame type spell. It stagger casts. It can hit multiple enemies. Like if it misses one, it'll hit another one. This can also be charged. But what's so nice about this is the stagger cast. And what I mean by that is if you watch these, boom, 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 they're going to all go at separate intervals. And what's crazy about that is, you know, the enemy is going to need to block the whole volley or somehow dodge that whole volley. You know, decent frostbite buildup. As you see, we're getting enemies left and right are being hit by this thing, and the frostbite buildup is happening. So, very, very solid spell all around. And it's relatively cheap, which I like a lot, because the main comparable spell to this would be, you know, this is coming in at 12 FP. For the type of build that this goes on, for a Faith Arcane build, the main consideration would be Rancor Call at 12 FP. And honestly, this is just way cooler than Rancor Call in my opinion. I like this a lot. Moving on from there, let's talk about Impenetrable Thorns. Now, this, honestly, is everything that Thorn Magic should have been from the start. It's Thorn Magic, but just cranked up to 11. We have excellent range on it. It doesn't work very well on elevation, so it's a little bit goofy to use here. If I can, like, lure them out to an area of ground that's flatter, it'll work better. But this is a repeated cast. It has AoE damage. It has bleed damage. It will just mess enemies up. And there is a bleed build-up on it, but the thing is, like, you're gonna run out of FP long before you potentially bleed yourself with this. And like I said, this is so good. Look at the range on that, hitting multiple targets. Very, very strong sorcery. I like this one a lot. Because honestly, the Thorn sorceries were so underwhelming. Like, I wanted to love them. They just didn't quite meet the mark. And this was like, I am here to fix the faults of my predecessor. Release me. 3 gigantic thorns that run and then explode for a shit ton of bleed. A big, big fan of that one. Moving on from there, we have Gravitational Missile. Now, the damage on this one is pretty good, but the big selling point of it is the crowd control. This is like, this is top tier for like, oh, you're fighting an army of people? I got you, fam. Like, let's let all these dudes gather up. You know, this puts, and the FP cost isn't too aggressive. You would think it would be like really high, but it's just gonna vacuum, 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 boom. So there's a little bit of a delay on the detonation. We do have a fast cast version of it too. What's nice about this is you could cast this out and then effectively fight in it, and it's just gonna mess enemies up, you know? Because eventually that's gonna detonate, and the whole time it's getting ready to detonate while it's already primed, you know, it's doing that yank. So you could be working in melee attacks while that's getting ready to go off. But excellent spell for the AoE and damage to cost ratio. Gravitational Missile is top tier, no doubt about it. Now, I don't remember the location of most of these spells. That's fun. However, I will say that a lot of them come from the Cathedral area. The Cathedral has a NPC, and as you follow his quest line, you're able to pick up progressively more spells from him. So that's a lot of them. I think the Catacombs is where I got the one, but definitely check that out. We haven't really shown the map at all, but I guess we could show the map real fast just to talk about Cathedral. So right here, Cathedral of Manus Meter. You basically would, from like Morth Ruins, you just follow this path. Boop, boop, and you're right there. Moving on from there, though, up next we got Fleeting Microcosm. Now, this spell is a little bit interesting. The damage on it is very good, but pretty strict positional requirement. We have to get enemies to basically stay by it. But if they do, we're going to pump some good damage here, so. Here it comes. Boop. Boom! What I like about this, too, is it's above, so especially against a lot of enemies, they're, you know, unless you're, like, really blocking up, it's a little bit trickier to block against something like this because it's coming in, like, behind your head. You know, if this guy's blocked up, he might... Yep, he blocked one, but not the second one. The one downside, this thing is a hungry hippo when it comes to FP. You can see I'm already out, but very, very beautiful spell from an aesthetics perspective. I mean, it's a little galaxy exploding, you know? Boop. Here it comes. Boom! And that was the damage they took while blocking. So I do like that one from an AoE perspective. Speaking of AoE, Blades of Stone. This is a boss spell. We get it from a dude after the Shadow Keep. It's a Commander Gaius, I believe. Personally, I think I like his Ash of War better, but the spell itself is very solid. We're just making a big old group of stone. This thing will absolutely trounce the weak enemies. Kind of, you know, our last couple spells have done that. But very, very strong AoE potential, like the other spells. Slam it! Let's see. I have a bunch of them blocking. The only thing I don't like about this one is that it's a single hit, which I think takes away some of its effectiveness against bosses, you know? I think multi-hits are the name of the game in boss fights. The one good thing is it's such a wide range AoE that, like, it's pretty hard to actually miss an attack with this. Like, if it goes up, it's probably going to hit something. But it can be pretty fast, it can also be charged, and it does have a respectable amount of AoE. So, all in all, I think it is a very solid choice. Now, this last one I'm giving honorable mention to because the damage is insane on it, but it's a little bit iffy to use. Rellana's Twin Moons. We drop 2 separate moons. Each moon goes boom. The moons can deal like 2,000 plus damage a pop. The downside here is to execute this, you know, it's like moons, but in shotgun form. So I need to be very close to enemies, which is typically not where you're trying to cast. So if I can get it off. Moons! This thing will nuke bosses. And the one nice thing is there I got interrupted, but as long as you get up into the air, as long as you're like, I'm up there. Like as soon as that moon forms, even if they knock you out, it doesn't matter. The moons are coming down. So I wanted to give that one honorable mention. Only because, like, the damage is there. It's an absolute nuke, but at the same time, you know, I do think it is kind of hard to execute that. Because typically, I mean, at least the way I play sorcery, I'm typically at range. You know, I'm not usually running up and trying to drop a bomb on something. But if you're okay with that playstyle, it will bring the pain. But either way, that's going to wrap things up for the top 5 sorceries. These are definitely the ones that just stood out, but there are plenty more sorceries to find in the DLC. And I'm going to do one more video taking a look at 5 incantations that I really ended up enjoying. So stay tuned. I'll catch you soon with that.